Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Nun Aleph Amud Beis, starting with Nun Aleph Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom. Our Mishnah had taught 2 cases. The first case it taught is when a person wants to be koine shvisa b'mokom acher, and therefore he makes a declaration that in a certain place, specifically where the tree trunk is, he's going to be koine shvisa. So the Mishnah says he's able to be koine shvisa in that mokom. The Mishnah goes on to say another case where a person does not have a specific place to identify, or he's not baki in the halacha, and therefore he wants the mokom where he is situated, b'makoimi, that he wants to be koine shvisa. So it also works. The Gemara now quotes the Mishnah that says, "V'zehu sha'amru," this that the sages said, "He'oni ma'arev beraglov." An ani can make a eruv with his presence. Rabbi Meir ein anu lonu ela ani. Rabbi Meir says specifically, he's talking about an ani, a special dispensation, a kula for an ani. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda argues and says this is for an ani as well as for an usher. The Gemara now wants to know, what is this statement referring to? Is it referring to the first case in the Mishnah? The case where he identifies the tree trunk in a far place 2,000 amos away to make his makom shvisa? Or is this statement going on where he is currently located? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says, Machloikes b'mekoimi. This machloikes that we just quoted over here between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda is talking about where the person in his current location wants to make shvisa. The Rabbi Meir sovar iker eruv bepas. Rabbi Meir is of the opinion that the iker way of establishing an eruv is by placing down food. And therefore, oni hu de akilu rabbanan ilave, they were makil for an oni. Aval oshir loy. And therefore, when it says b'makoimi in this place, so therefore it's only a kula for an ani, but for an usher not. An usher has to put down, who's an usher? An usher who has food. An ani who doesn't have food, or he's a traveler, therefore he's given the dispensation to then make where his regil is situated, but that's only a kula. Whereas the usher has to put pas, he has to put down bread for making the eruv. Rabbi Yehuda sovar iker eruv beregil. Rabbi Yehuda argues and says, no, the main way of establishing an eruv is by a person's presence. Echad ani ve'echad ashir, and therefore even an ashir who does have pas, he can go ahead and make his eruv where he is situated right there and then. But in a far off place, let's say in the tree trunk, in that place that is further, then both the ani and the ashir, they themselves, both of them, will agree, meaning both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, there, even Rabbi Yehuda would agree that only an ani can go ahead and make his eruv with an amira ba'alma by saying 2,000 amos away where the tree trunk is situated, I want to make the shvisa. V'zuhi sha'amu, and that which it's stated in the Mishnah, this is what the sages said, that there's a kula when it comes to eruv according to Rabbi Meir. Man k'tonilo, that's Rabbi Meir. Ve'ahai koi, what is Rabbi Meir then referring to in this statement? What is going on? In the situation where he wants to then make shvisa b'makoimi, he's not a baki in halacha and doesn't have a specific place like a tree trunk to then make the eruv. Only where he's present he wants to make the eruv. On that, Rabbi Meir says we'll give a special dispensation to an ani. On that, Rabbi Yehuda argues and says bein ani, bein ashir, he can make shvisa b'makoimi. The latter statement in the Mishnah, the seif of the Mishnah that says that there is special kula, dispensation for an ashir to establish pas, man ktani lo, who's teaching this? That's Rabbi Yehuda. That would be Rabbi Yehuda would say that the ikir way of making an eruv is with the regil, and therefore will give a special kula, however, to an ashir that will say to him that if he wants to send an agent, a shaliach, to establish a Eruv in a different place, then we'll give him a kula. So that's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. And that explains the latter part of the Mishnah. It says, Lo amru ma'arvin b'pas ela lahakil. That's one opinion and one understanding of this statement, according to Rav Nachman. The Gemara now brings another opinion. Rav Chizda Omar Machloikis b'makom ploini. The Machloikis in Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir is talking about a far-off place. The first case in the Mishnah, underneath the tree trunk, they want to establish an Eruv. In other words, it's with an Amira. It's not with a person's presence, with an Amira Ba'alma. The Rabbi Meir Savar Ani in Asherlo. On that, Rabbi Meir says you can give a special kula for an Ani. That means a traveler, somebody who doesn't have pas. That person can then make a special Eruv in a bakum far off, 2,000 amos away underneath a tree trunk. Rabbi Yehuda Savar Echad Ani ve'echad Asher. Rabbi Yehuda says no, even an Asher who does have pas can go ahead and establish an Eruv 2,000 amos away underneath a tree trunk with his own Amira. But if one person wants to then establish an Eruv where his present situation is in his place, Divrei hakol echad ani ve'echad asher, then everybody would agree that both an ani and an asher can go ahead and establish shvisa b'mekaymoi. The Iker Eruv Beragil, that means that everybody, even Rabbi Meir would say the Iker way of establishing an Eruv is with one's presence. So therefore, if he says, I want to make Shvisa b'Makoimi, everybody agree, Bein Ani, Bein Asher, one can do so. Vizuhi Sha'amru, and that which it states in the Mishnah that the sages said a special kula according to Rabbi Meir, and therefore to an Ani alone, Man Ktanila, who was teaching this? Rabbi Meir, Vahai Koi, what was Rabbi Meir referring to? What was going on? Which case? On the case, the first case of the Mishnah, Misha Baba Derech V'chashcha. When a person is traveling and he sees that he's 4,000 amos away from his bias, but he knows that there's a tree trunk 2,000 amos away, he can go ahead and establish, the Ani has the dispensation to establish Shvisa by the tree trunk. And then what it says in the Sefer, they only gave a special kula dispensation to an Ashir to establish with pas. That means that the Iker establishment of an Eruv is with the Regil, but not with the pas. Man Ketanila, Divrei Kol, everybody would agree, both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, that the Iker, again, way of establishing an Eruv is with one's presence, and there's a special kula when it comes to an Ashir bepas, that he can go ahead and send a shaliach to establish a Eruv with pas. Tanya Kavase de Rav Nachman. Now the Gemara brings a brisa like Rav Nachman's opinion. Again, Rav Nachman stated that when it comes to the place where he wants to establish Eruv where he is present, there's a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says it's only a kula for an ani, and Rabbi Yehuda says, no, the Iker way of establishing an Eruv is through the regil, through one's presence, and therefore Bein Ani Ben Asher. Says the Gemara, Tani Kavasi de Rav Nachman, Echad Ani ve'echad Asher ma'arvin bepas. Both an Ani and an Asher can make an Eruv with a pas, meaning that's not the Iker way, but he may do so. V'lo yetze Asher chutz litchum. And an Asher, again, an Asher, somebody who has pas, who cannot go to the edge of the tchum, who cannot go to the edge of the tchum, and say, my shvisa is my makomi. He can't go there. So we'll give a special dispensation to the usher who can't go all the way there and establish the Eruv with his presence, which is really the Iker way of establishing. But we'll give him a dispensation that he can go ahead and send somebody with pas to that place. Because Rabbi Meir said that they didn't say that you can make an Eruv with a regel, except in a situation when a person has no choice. Meaning that Rabbi Meir says that the Iker way of establishing a Eruv is with pas. That's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. According to this brisa, Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, Echad Ani ve'echad Asher ma'arvin beregel. Both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda say that you can go ahead and establish a Eruv. The Iker way is with one's presence, with one's regel. V'yetze Osher chutz l'tchum, and an Osher can go outside of his tchum. V'yomer tehei shvisoti b'mkoimi, and he can go ahead and say, in my presence, I want to make the Eruv. In other words, with his presence, with his regel. V'zehu ikar shel Eruv, and that's the main establishment of an Eruv is through one's regel. V'hitiru chachamim lebal habayis l'shalech Eruv b'yad avdo b'yad b'noi b'yad shlucha b'shvil l'hokel love. However, they did give a special dispensation to an Ashir to send a shaliach on his behalf to establish residency with pas. So here we have a brisa clearly like Rav Nachman, that bein ani bin ashir, a person can establish an eruv with his regel b'makom where he is situated, but they gave a special kula to an ashir that in a far off place that he can go ahead and send pas to that place to go ahead on his behalf to make the eruv there. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, ma'ase ba'anshe beis memil u ma'anshe beis Giryon be'aroimo. There is a ma'ase that took place with the people of Memel and the people of Beis Giryon in the area called Aroimo. Shohayu machalkin groiguros v'tzimukun la'anim b'shnei batzaros. They would give out dry figs and raisins to the poor people during these famine years. Uboin aniyei kfar shichin v'aniyei kfar chananya. And the people from Kfar Shichin and Kfar Chananya would come. That means they would come, they're at a distance of 4,000 amos away. Umachshichin ala tchum, and therefore they would go ahead and establish on Erev Shabbos, 2,000 amos away, their shvisa. In other words, they went with their own presence, with their own regel. In other words, we have now a support for Rav Nachman. The next day they would get up early and they would come. So Dafko, they would establish the Eruv with the regel and not with an Amira, and only with their presence, which is not like Rabbi Meir, who says that the Iker way of establishing an Eruv is with pas. Rav Ashi said, Masnisi nami deko. You can also medayik this, that the halacha indeed is like the way Rav Nachman said in Rabbi Yehuda, from the following Mishnah, which is stated in the next Amud. Diktani, it says in the Mishnah, Misha yata leilech la'ir, shema arvin lo, a person who goes out, he's 4,000 amos away, and he goes out to establish an Eruv on his behalf, on the behalf of the city. After he goes out on Erev Shabbos to establish the Eruv 2,000 amos away, so somebody comes and tells him it's hot outside, the weather is not good or it's cold, and therefore he brings that person back to his original bias. Who mutter leilech v'chol b'nei ha'ir asurin. Rabbi Yehuda says since he is a traveler, although he was brought back to his own residency, but since he went out and he didn't intend to go back, he's considered to be a traveler, an ani. And therefore for him, it's mutter, says Rabbi Yehuda, to then go from those 2,000 amos. He already established shvisa. Masha'en kain, the people of the city, they're considered to be ashirim, and therefore they cannot establish the shvisa 2,000 amos away. The Gemara will then explain this. The Gemara wants to then analyze what is the statement of this Mishnah. Maishna ihu, maishna inhu. What is the difference between he who went out to go ahead and establish on Erev Shabbos shvisa, then he was brought back? What's the difference between him and the people of the city? He has two houses. He has one house in one city, one house in the other city. And there's 4,000 amos in between them. Since he went out on his way, he went out, only he was brought back. So therefore he's begeder in ani, he's a traveler. But they who remained in their town, they are considered to be ashirim. Therefore we see that kol makom ploni, any place, that we only have a special dispensation for the ani. In other words, we have the shita of Rav Nachman that is saying over here that indeed we give a special kula for an ani in a makom that is a different place. that in the place where he is situated, Bein Ani Bein Ashir, can make a Shvisa Beregel. But to make a Shvisa Be'amira in a far off place, let's say 2,000 amos away, without him being present, that is only a dispensation for a traveler, for an Ani. Masni le Rav Chia bar Ashi lechia bar Rav Kamei de Rav. Rav Chia bar Ashi taught our Mishnah to Chia bar Rav in the presence of Rav. Echad Ani v'echad Ashir. Both an Ani and an Ashir have a special dispensation, or have their way, are able to be kind of shvisa b'mekaymi. Omar le Rav. Rav says, Sayim bo nami halak Rabbi Yehuda. Be Messiah that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Indeed, like the way Rav Nachman had taught. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Bein Ani bein Ashir. He's able to make his shvisa b'mekaymi, because that is being kind of shvisa beregel with his presence. The Gemara now says, following Ma'aser, Rabbi Bar Chana hava rogil da'asi ba'artivna lepumpedisa. Rabbi Bar Chana, he would be accustomed to coming from the city of Artivna to the other city of Bavel called Pumbedisa. On top of Nun Beis Amud Aleph, V'omar, he would say, Tehei shvisasi b'tzinta. Now, the area of Artivna to Pumbedisa was 4,000 amos away. In between was a city 2,000 amos later called Sinta. So he would go ahead and say, I want my shvisa, he would make an amira, and say, I want my shvisa to be in that place, 2,000 amos away. In other words, he was trying to make shvisa with an amira, not with regel. Omar le Abaye. Abaye turned to him and said, My daitech, what do you think? Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Allah, Rabbi Yehuda, do you think that when it comes to the machlokes, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, the Allah is Rabbi Yehuda? Ve'omar Rav Chizda machlokes b'makom ploini, and Rav Chizda explained the machlokes in Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda to be that it's a machlokes in a far off place, meaning with an amira. Ve'ho Rav Nachman v'tani kavasei. That which Rav Chizda said, that was indeed that machlokes. He explained b'makom ploini. But we don't go like Rav Chizda, we go like Rav Nachman, because we have a brisa like Rav Nachman. And therefore, you cannot establish a place if you're an Ashir, be'amira ba'alma, only if you're a traveler. Omar le hadri bi. He said, I'm choizer bi. He said, I retract. From now on, I'm not going to do that, because now I understand the halacha indeed is the way Rav Nachman explained the machlokes in Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda.